Hey, that was the brief, that was a little moment there. Let's get back to it. I have been postponing this for far too long. Folks, it's time to talk about the real villains of this story. Okay? It's not Democrats voted to deregulate banks, got 3x more money from the banks. It's not the 17 Democrats that voted for deregulating institutions like SVB. It's not any of that. It's not Dodd-Frank being unrolled. It's the fact that these banks are gay. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the real problem. When you think about a financial institution, you never really think about how gay the financial institution is, okay? And that's the real problem, okay? Because like Ryan Grimm also correctly pointed out, in the 1920s this happened. And you might have wondered why there was a bank run. Homosexuality. That's right. That's exactly what was going on in the 1920s in the Jim Crow South, where miscegenation was illegal, where segregation was very firmly held on to. There was too much wokeness going on, and that's why the bank runs happened back then. And that's precisely the same reason why banking is falling apart in America right now, because Femboy Friday. Femboy Friday, trans people are, out and about. I mean, dare I say more, black people and brown people are allowed to be in corporate executive boards. I mean, how dare you? Women are in the workplace? That's it.
They were a woke bank. If you look at their director of risk management, she brags about their diversified ESG portfolio. And the problem is that a lot of this is fantasy land. It's like the Green New Deal. It doesn't work. It doesn't pencil out. And if you're a bank being insured by the federal government, which is the FDIC, your responsibility is to grant loans to people who can actually pay them back, not just to people who check a box on a liberal wish list. And I think that's part of the problem. I think part of their investment portfolio, they made loans to very risky ventures based more on their liberal wokeness than on the.
Wait, that has literally nothing to do with what happened to this bank. I mean, that's like incredibly funny, but it's just like, just not what? Yeah, there is nothing more woke than buying government bonds. Okay? There is nothing more woke, because you know why? Because the government's woke. That's what the bank did. Do not tell me it's because they had a liquidity problem, because they were playing around with a lot more funds than they were supposed to be, but we deregulated them. That's not the reason. It's because they were investing in the government, and the government's woke and gay. Critical bond theory. Liberal wish list: have sex before marriage, be trans, have an abortion every week, drink vaccines for breakfast. Yeah, that's right, brother. That's what all liberals want to do, is have a vaccination room in their homes right next to the gay sex room. Everybody knows how this works.
Actual ability for that borrower to pay the loans back, in addition to being too heavily invested in treasuries.
It looks
they were a woke bank. If you look at their director of risk management,
Yeah, he's right. The banks were woke. Yeah. I like that he adds in the treasuries thing, like right there.
borrower to pay the loans back, in addition to being too heavily invested in treasuries.
Like that implies that he knows the truth, right? Anyway, it's time to read the Wall Street Journal article, Who Killed the Silicon Valley Bank? Okay.
That was Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell testifying on Caveat.
Well, I think that what's going
Okay, fuck this. Does anyone have this does anyone have the article? Because I want to.
Who killed Silicon Valley Bank?
Apparently, no one at the firm perceived any risk from the Fed raising interest rates. By Andy Kessler. March 12, 2023, 3:04 p.m. Eastern Time. That giant slurping sound on Friday was Silicon Valley Bank imploding. America's 16th largest bank had some $175 billion in deposits and disappeared by breakfast. It wouldn't have happened if not for management mistakes. This was a 21st century bank run. Customers tried to withdraw about $42 billion, a quarter of all deposits. But what triggered the collapse? Let's go back. In January 2020, SVB had $55 billion in customer deposits on its balance sheet. By the end of 2022, that number exploded to $186 billion. Yes, SVB was a victim of its own success. These deposits were often from initial public offerings and SPAC deals. SVB banked almost half of all IPO proceeds in the last 2 years. Most startups had relationships with the bank. That's a lot of money to put to work. Some was lent out, but with soaring stock prices and near zero interest rates, no one needed to take on excessive debt. There was no way SVB was going to initiate $131 billion in new loans. So the bank put some of this new capital into higher-yielding long-term government bonds and $80 billion into 10-year mortgage-backed securities paying 1.5% instead of short-term treasuries paying 0.25%. This was mistake number one. SVB reached for yield, just as Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers did in the 2000s. With few loans, these investments were the bank's profit center. SVB got caught with its pants down as interest rates went up. Everyone except SVB management, it seems, knew interest rates were heading up. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell has been shouting this from the
Wait, you want to know why? I wonder why SVB management didn't know interest rates were going to go up. You want because women be shopping. That's why. Because they were too busy. They were too busy shopping and having gay sex. That's the reason. For those of you who don't know why, you're like, oh, I don't understand. That's it. That's the reason.
mountaintops. Yet SVB froze and kept business as usual, borrowing short-term from depositors and lending long-term without any interest rate hedging. To hear the full story, subscribe or sign in.
Oh, God damn it. They didn't even show you the actual thing. The bear market started in January 2022, 14 months ago. Surely it shouldn't have taken more than a year for management at SVB to figure out that credit would tighten and the IPO market would dry up, or that companies would need to spend money on salaries and cloud services. Nope, and that was mistake number two. Number two, SVB misread its customers' cash needs. Risk management seemed to be an afterthought. It's like, dude, this is every bank. That's why we need regulation. Because if left to their own devices, banks are always going to engage in risky trades. I hate this. I hate this fucking notion that, like, oh man, they're a victim of their own success. Like, who could have foreseen this? Like, they should have seen this. It's like, you're so stupid. Risk management is about how much the federal government will allow them to get away with. That's it. The bank didn't even have a chief risk officer for 8 months last year. CEO Greg Becker sat on the risk committee. As customers asked for their money, SVB had to sell $21 billion in underwater longer-term assets with an average interest rate around 1.8%. The bank lost $1.8 billion on the sale and tried to raise more than $2 billion to fill the hole. The loss flagged that something was wrong. Venture capitalists, including Peter Thiel, suggested companies that a portfolio should withdraw their money and put it somewhere safer. On Thursday, the dam broke, and there was no way to cover the billions in withdrawal requests. Peter Thiel saw that this bank was engaging in, or Peter Thiel saw that this bank was about to have a liquidity crisis and fucking went for a bank run. I don't know why. I don't know why the guy I give blood to decided to do this, because I am a blood boy for Peter Thiel. For those of you who don't know, M skates board, you're correct. That is what I do. I don't know why my blood daddy decided to do a bank run or push for a bank run. Anyway, For you to say he hates Californian elites is silly because he is a Californian elite. He himself is quite literally, this Wall Street Journal article is like, yeah, homosexuals caused this to happen. I think he just means Peter Thiel, who is a gay man. That's what this article actually comes back to, just be like, one gay man did this in the interest of woke culture. It's also wild because, like, Peter Thiel is, Palantir. He is a, gay CEO, founder, libertarian who owns multiple tech companies, from PayPal all the way to Palantir, which is America's privatized national security surveillance apparatus. It's a global corporation. There's literally, fun fact, in Japan, when I was walking around, I saw a building in between Harajuku and I think it was Shinjuku, maybe, where there was literally a Palantir building right next to the Mini Cooper, right next to, I guess, the fucking Mini Cooper car, like, auto dealership, or literally on top of it, actually. And the building also housed BuzzFeed. Anyway. Palantir is literally Arasaka? Yes. Before they could, private equity firm General Atlantic apparently made an offer to buy $500 million of the bank's common stock Friday morning. I'd offered $3 billion for half the company. Where was Warren Buffett or JP Morgan? Before they could get a deal together, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corps, FDIC, took over to protect up to $250,000 of each depositor. Larger uninsured deposits are frozen. Since the bank took a 9% haircut on the $21 billion in bond sales, that could mean uninsured depositors might get 90 cents on the dollar. But it could take months or years. So venture capitalists are getting emergency funding requests. Why do so many startups start with SVB in the first place? Here's a hint. Apparently, more than half of SVB's loans went to venture and private equity firms backed by the borrower's limited partner commitments. A legal but slippery way to goose venture funds' all-important internal rate of return metric, IRR, by investing 3 to 6 months before calling investors for cash. VCs are very persuasive with startups. Here's an important lesson for companies in trouble. On Thursday, Mr. Becker told everyone to stay calm. That never works. Was there regulatory failure? Perhaps. Oh, come on. Brother, you are... Wall Street Journal is a fraudulent institution that basically very openly does what every other media outlet does, but like their entire purpose of existence is to literally do this, which is regulatory failure, maybe. Maybe there was some deregulation. SVB was regulated like a bank, but looked more like a money market fund. Then there's this. In its proxy statement, SVB notes that besides 91% of their board being independent and 45% women, they also have 1 black, 1 LGBTQ, and 2 veterans. I'm not saying 12 white men would have avoided this mess, but the company may have been distracted by diversity demands. Management screwed up interest rates. Bro, what the fuck do you mean, dude? So, like, that's it? 1 black guy, 1 gay guy, and 2 veterans fucked over the company? If like, I don't know, 6 white men are not able to get the job done, what, is it only when it's 12 white men? Is that what happens? Management screwed up interest rates, underestimated customer withdrawals, hired the wrong people, and failed to sell equity. You're really only allowed 1 mistake. More proved fatal. Was management hubristic, delusional, or incompetent? Sometimes there's no difference. I love that, like, hiring a veteran is woke now, by the way. Yeah, I remember bank runs, like I said, originally in the 20s, that were, of course, happening because there was black people in executive office back then as well. So thank you to the Wall Street Journal for identifying what the truth of the matter is. He arrived at the real truth. It is that, there's one gay guy or one LGBTQ person, 2 women on the board of executives, and that's what happens when you do that. You hire one LGBTQ plus and boom, bank failure, bank run. Fuck, man. 45% women, yeah. The veterans were hired from the they-them army. That's right, Rick. My sources in the Valley have confirmed SVP was doing pronouns and le wokisme. Yeah. So, also, yeah, 45% women means it's still men. Like, the board has more men than women. I don't even know how do you get, like, what does that mean? Yeah, it's 55% men, so it's still majority men, but, that's not even enough. Oh, is it? They hired one too many gay men and all the chases got distracted? Duh, yeah. Photo board of SVB. Okay, dude, you got me. You fucking got me. Dude, what the fuck happened to my eye, by the way? Did you guys see this? What does this mean? Like, what is happening here? The mask is slipping? Yeah. No, my eye didn't have this. It's just like filled in for some reason. I don't know why. I don't understand it. What?